Hi everyone, Britt here from Torq. Today I am joined by Robbie Jakob-Whitworth, Solutions Architect at Next DLP. Robbie, thank you for joining me today.
Happy to be here. Lovely to meet you, Britt.
I'm excited that you're joining us today because you created an awesome workflow, and I don't want to give too much away, but go ahead and intro yourself and tell us a little bit more about Next DLP.
Certainly. So I'm Robbie. I'm a solutions architect with Next DLP, and Next is focusing on sort of reinventing data protection, DLP, and insider risk, right? So I spend a lot of time working with customers and enterprises, focusing on how we can protect the data in their organization, how we can prevent a data leak or a data breach, and also how we can manage the insider risk, right? And risky behaviors or bad actors within the organization.
Robbie, go ahead and show us this workflow.
So a key thing that I work on with a lot of customers is kind of alerts and detections and incidents, right? From a data protection perspective, as much as an insider risk one. And alert fatigue is something that is a very real problem for some security analysts, right? They spend a lot of time looking through alerts. Next provides a fantastic platform to get an overview and control within an environment of risky behavior taken by users. For example, the sharing of sensitive data, accessing data that is controlled by regulation or compliance, for example. But going through all of these alerts and all these incidents can be quite a time sink sometimes for an analyst. Mm-hmm. So in that theme of alert fatigue, I was able to use Torq to actually build a workflow to notify me separately via Slack about the most serious data breaches. Mm-hmm. So in the example that I'm going to show you here, we can actually reduce alert fatigue by using Torq to just alert me about those most high severity alerts. So using Next, I was actually able to build out a webhook integration directly into Torq. And I said, let's stream detection information for Torq, where the data is PII. I'm only going to focus on leavers in my organization, perhaps those most high-risk users, and I only want events that are a score at least 80, right? So a particularly high-severity alert. What this allows me to do is actually trigger a workflow into Torq such that when a policy violation or an incident occurs, meeting these specific required thresholds, I can get alerted about it separately, meaning I can actually get sort of real-time information rather than having to look into the platform. So I'm saving a lot of time by getting these alerts through Torq.
Talk a little bit more real quick about time saving, because that's obviously so important. How are SOC analysts doing this before, this workflow?
Yeah. Traditionally, for an analyst or in a SOC, you spend all your time kind of combing through logs and alerts, and you have a lot of false positives to deal with, right? And all the information is presented to me within a powerful UI of most products, but I have to spend a lot of time going through that information and that alerts. Using Torq, I was able to take the powerful data detection within Next and then actually use Torq to tell me separately about that. So I can go and spend my time on other things that are more important to me than looking through logs. And then I can actually just get a real-time alert through Slack or on my phone when an incident occurs in real time. So I can be notified about it. And so I can launch an investigation in real time.
Alert fatigue is obviously such a huge problem. How is this workflow helping to combat that?
I mean, maybe if I give you a real world example, this is going to help here. Consider this, right? From a data protection perspective, I might have data in my organization, maybe personal information, social security numbers, customer information that needs to be protected. And in this case, if I'm a user and I'm sharing this data, for example, through a site like WeTransfer, or I'm sending it via email to my personal email address, or any of these different kind of exfiltration vectors, right? Either malicious or indeed accidental. Next, at this point, can provide real-time data protection by actually enforcing IT and corporate policy here, preventing the taking of sensitive data. So in this case, we were able to say that this file that contains this sensitive information, email addresses and social security numbers, actually was leaked out through WeTransfer. Next protected and blocked that activity. Now, what I'm using Torq for here is that as a SOC or as a security analyst, I don't need to sit in the Next platform and look through every single alert. I can actually get this kind of come through in real time through Torq. So with Torq, I'm able to build this workflow that tells me all the information around the user's activity, which user violated policy, what the policy was that it contained social security numbers, how the data was being exfiltrated, in this case to WeTransfer. Here is the file. Here is a link to view the forensic evidence. I was able to capture that with Next and then use Torq to make that available to me immediately and actually go ahead and launch an investigation into this user, as well as grabbing a screenshot of the user's desktop at that moment in time. So I'm able to launch an investigation to dive down deeper into the context of this user's activity.
I mean, how easy would you say it was to build this workflow and deploy it?
This is super simple, right? Because I'm combining the powerful open API provided by NextDLP with the really helpful no-code workflow UI provided by Torq, right? I'm kind of plugging those two together is the best of both worlds, because then I can go ahead and launch that investigation and actually understand that user activity here, right? They kind of went ahead and went to these websites, they shared this file, triggered this policy violation. I was able to combine some open framework with Next with a really useful and powerful framework with Torq to take that data and then share it into other platforms. It's really a fantastic way to orchestrate and connect different systems together and to save me time by automating those manual tasks.
Awesome, Robbie. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Britt.